Hello, boys and girls, this is Amagi, of course, and welcome back to some World of Warships. This is gonna be my first World of Warships video. This is post-commentary, because I recorded this, I think, late at night. World of Warships is made by Wargaming. As you guys know, I played their game World of Tanks a lot and uploaded like 40-50 videos of that before I kinda got sick of it. I played it many hundreds of hours, so don't get me wrong, it's a really good game. It's just that it just didn't have any appeal to me any longer. I had unlocked so many tanks that I wanted to play and try out that there wasn't anything I could really aim for and want to do again, so to say. This is obviously a game about ships, as you can see. I'm in the tier 8 Japanese battleship, the Amagi. There's 10 tiers, so obviously a tier 8 can easily pound a tier 1, but luckily for the tier 1s, they won't go up against much bigger ships than a tier 4, maybe maximum, even in this closed beta. And that's what it's in right now, closed beta. So to get the game, yeah, you gotta kind of know people or like win contests and that kind of stuff. But the good thing is that it's gonna go open beta soon. This gameplay is actually quite old. This is maybe a little bit over a month old, to be honest. So it's been a long time since this was kind of the state of where the game was. So it's definitely looking really good, and I would definitely recommend it. It's gonna be a free-to-play game. Obviously, you need to pay a little bit, maybe 10 bucks here or there, once every 2 or 3 months if you really want to enjoy it, if I'm gonna be honest with you, because otherwise there's a lot of grinding. But I would say if they keep it like it has been in the open beta, or the closed beta I mean, it will actually be less grindy, and you won't really require to buy things as much as in World of Tanks. You definitely won't have to do 100 battles, for example, with a tank, or with a ship here. For example, if you have a tier 9, you don't have to do 100 battles with that until you can unlock the tier 10. That's for sure. Even if you're a pretty bad player. And I used to have to do like 100 matches to get from tier 9 to tier 10 in World of Tanks, and I'm still a pretty good player. I was definitely like over average, and I would say maybe I'm around average here. So they've definitely decreased the amount of grind you have to do, and it's a quite interesting game. It's gonna be US, Japanese, British and Russian ships, I think, to start out with, and then they might add other nations to come. Right now, US and Japanese ships have gotten most of the love, or those are the ships that kind of have most of their ship tree already done, even though the game isn't out. So to play British and Russian ships isn't very fun right now in the closed beta, but they're definitely making ships for those ship trees as well. You can pick between 4 different ships. Battleship, of course, what I'm in right now. Destroyer, that's the little Sims over there. Those are kind of small, quick, nimble torpedo boats that can easily kind of pop smoke screens, get away from you and try to torp you. Then you have cruisers. Sometimes they have torpedoes, sometimes they don't, but what they always have is a lot of medium caliber guns that have a really good DPS, kind of like how medium tanks are in World of Tanks. And then you have the artillery, or yeah, the kind of the artillery, because it's actually way better than artillery works in World of Tanks, and that is the carriers that have either fighter planes to protect friendly ships from other enemy ships, for example torpedo bombers, or just plain bombers that drop bombs on your ship. Torpedo bombers are definitely most dangerous because they can sink your ship with just a couple of torpedoes, but usually you can try to get away from them quite easily and dodge a couple of them, so you take minimal damage or just medium damage. But sometimes you get scissored, as it's called, and it's just fantastically awful if you're in a slow battleship all by yourself, and then 2 or 3 squadrons of torpedo bombers just scissor you with their torpedoes, and yeah, you're basically completely screwed. You don't stand a chance. It's not very fun. I just want to point out also that destroyers have almost no main guns at all, so the amount of damage they can do with their guns is very small. The majority of the damage you do with destroyers' guns, or with a destroyer, is actually obviously with the torpedoes, so to say. And there are some cruisers that are kind of like a mix between a cruiser and a destroyer, have very few guns but have a lot of torpedoes and a little bit more health, but are also bigger and slower and easier to hit than regular destroyers, so to say. It's kind of a nice mix. I really like it. What's really bad with Japanese ships is that The rate of fire is usually pretty good compared to American ships and that kind of stuff. It is definitely decent, but the weak thing is big citadels. Citadels is the most vulnerable point of your ship. If someone hits you there, it does a lot of damage, just like I did there on the Amagi and took off 14,000 of his health points, and that's more than 10% of his ship in just one hit. So you definitely want to watch out from getting hit in your citadel if you're driving a Japanese ship, because they're very big. So try to hide your broadside as much as possible. Don't show your broadside to the enemy. Try to shoot your shells and then kind of turn away, because otherwise this is going to be happening. I'm showing a full frontal broadside and he just shaved off 1/3 of my health. He got 2 citadel hits there, so really, you gotta watch out for that kind of stuff. The same thing goes for Japanese cruisers as well. Other cruisers can easily penetrate into your citadel and do maximum damage, and it hurts. It hurts a lot. So what's then good with the Japanese ships? The battleships, I just love them, especially when you start coming up to tier 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're just magnificent because they have really good secondary armaments. That is the cannons that you personally can't control, but they start firing automatically within, for example, 7 or 5 kilometers range. As you can see, it's 11 kilometers over to this guy over here. So if he was a little bit closer, in most Japanese ships, the secondary armaments will start firing, and they usually do about 1,000 damage per hit that you get with them, so you can easily shave off like 1/3 of the health of a cruiser, for example, or a destroyer with just the automatic fire from your guns that you don't control yourself. I kind of wish you could control the secondary armaments yourself, because they're incredibly inaccurate most of the time, to be honest, but the Japanese ships have so many of them. For example, this ship is a tier 8. It already has more secondary armaments than any of the tier 9 or 10 American battleships. So when battleships start getting close to each other, the Japanese ships always have the upper hand, simply because they have more firepower, since they have so many extra smaller guns that will fire automatically. Also, it's very good for cruisers, and it also is kind of good for destroyers as well. Even though destroyers are small and hard to hit, you will usually shave off 1/3 or maybe even half their health in just maybe 20-30 seconds of firing at them at close range. So yeah, you gotta watch out here. Just somebody is like, "Why are you running, man?" Yeah, I'm running because there's a freaking tier 10 Yamato firing at me, and a goddamn Amagi that's the same tier as me, and I'm the only battleship over here. All I got to help me is one cruiser, and they have a cruiser as well. So it's basically 2 versus 1, and they have a huge advantage, but I just sunk their tier 8 battleship, so now we kind of have a little bit of a better chance. And as you can see, battleships also have health that they can regenerate by pressing Y. You can do that 4 times every battle, and you kind of have to be tactical with it. Sometimes you need to pop it right away when you take a little damage, and sometimes you need to save it. It kind of depends on the situation, so to say. You also have that plane icon that releases a scout plane that helps you detect, especially smaller ships like destroyers, because those can be quite nasty and hard to detect, especially at higher tier matches, so you gotta watch out for that. We got another one, nice. Now we're finally looking good. Pop my health here, so we're gonna be back at a little bit more than 1/3 of the health, and that's gonna be enough to try to take on this Yamato, but it's gonna be difficult because the Yamato is a goddamn powerful ship. But luckily, in a tier 8 battleship like I am here, you can actually penetrate and get citadel hits and do pretty massive damage, like 10k or up if you get a hit. But the problem is the Yamato has even bigger guns, so if he penetrates my citadel, he's gonna do like 20k damage, so you really want to watch out. He could get 2 hits on me and kill me with just those 2 hits if he gets lucky. But yeah, it's definitely a fun game. I do recommend it. We're gonna speed up the footage here a little bit, I think, because it's gonna be a while before I actually get my guns in ready and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot to think about. Like, it's not only like where do you go, who do you fire at, start turning your turrets in the right moment and such things. Like, a lot of things are very important to think about. That is like stuff that that other people might not think about. If you start turning at the right time, the enemy might miss all of their bullets. If you shoot at a weird angle, even if the enemy starts turning in time, they might miss all of their bullets. You can see there I missed everything because I didn't really recognize that the Yamato was kind of turning to the right or left for him and right for me, because he was avoiding the torpedoes. I was quite new to the game still here, actually. I only had like maybe 60 or 70 battles under my belt. I managed to get quite far with like the free XP and stuff they gave me, and kind of get some pretty high tier ships for kind of free, basically, without playing much. But I think we're gonna get the Yamato here, actually. Oh, he's so low. Yep, there we go. 2 hits, we did barely no damage at all. We got no citadel or nothing, but it was enough to kill him because the torpedo bombers already softened him up so much for us. I would say if you try this out, I think you're gonna have the most fun with Japanese battleships in the beginning, at least. They're good beginning battleships because you kind of learn to hide your citadel after you get hit in it a lot, since like I said, the Japanese have very big citadels and you're gonna get hit in them quite a lot of the time. So it's a good learning experience. The Japanese cruisers, all of them have torpedoes, which not all of the Americans does, so it's quite fun to play them because of that. But you rarely get to use your torpedoes a lot, because if you get too close to enemy battleships or other enemy cruisers, especially American ones, they can usually out DPS you and just kill you outright. But I would say the balance is quite good. The only thing so far I haven't really enjoyed playing is the carriers, because they're so slow and boring, and the destroyers. The destroyers is just not my thing. Destroyers is for a whole nother kind of a person that is very explosive, I would say. Like they like to play very slow, careful, methodical thinking, being very clever for a long time, and then just go for it. Like, be very aggressive, send their torpedoes out in the right second, then go and hide in the right second. Like, you gotta do everything right. Battleships kind of give you a little bit more of a... It's okay to fail a little bit. We forgive you. You can still survive because you have so much health. That's the kind of way you feel when you're playing a battleship, and it's pretty damn fun to play a battleship when you start getting a hang of it. But watch out, because you do turn very slowly, you do accelerate very slowly, your main guns take a very long time to reload, and you can easily get killed by just one cruiser of the same tier as you, especially if that person is a little bit more skilled than you and you don't have any backup. They can easily wreck you. But definitely a fun game. I've been enjoying it a lot so far, so I'm gonna show you another gameplay of my tier 9 Ibutsi, or whatever it's called, Japanese battleship, and I also just unlocked the Yamato, and I think I'm gonna do a live commentary of that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and I will upload some more as usual. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.